Hi everyone, I'm Gail Wilson and I want to chat with you about the elderly and disabled and how you can prepare for a disaster. Now, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you're either elderly or disabled yourself, or you're caring for someone who is, and we want you to be prepared. What if a major disaster struck and it became necessary for you to take care of yourself or that special person you're caring for as long as 3 days? Under ideal circumstances, we're told what to do, that we'll be safe if we just do this and this. But sometimes information isn't available right away, or it may be a while until help arrives. Emergency workers tell us it may take up to 72 hours for help to arrive during a major disaster. And because of this, now is the time for you to think about special needs you might have during a crisis like this. Picture in your mind, what helps you in your daily life that's special or unusual? Do you use a wheelchair or a walker? Are you blind or sight impaired in any way? How about a hearing aid? Do you always keep spare batteries on hand? With the help of this short video and a variety of free booklets and other resources available from the county and the American Red Cross, you can create a plan that will work for you. Now, it's very important that the plan you create is easy to carry out in a disaster. It will give you and your family peace of mind. Something else that's very important is the concept, get a buddy, be a buddy. We can't stress this enough. Having a buddy look out for you in a disaster is one of the most effective things you can do to prepare. Something else you can easily do ahead of time to ensure your safety is to have a health information card ready for rescuers. Keep a copy of it on your refrigerator door, in your wallet or purse, and in your portable disaster kit. List your medications, including the dosage, medical and special equipment that you might need, allergies and sensitivities, communication difficulties you might have, treatment needs and doctors, important people to contact and their phone numbers. During a disaster, it may become necessary that you be self-sufficient for 72 hours. Whether you stay at home or leave, you want to have everything you need in one place, including all your special needs items. You should be able to accomplish this with 2 easy-to-assemble kits that you keep together. One is a 72-hour disaster kit that will help you get by in your home for 72 hours. The other is a smaller portable disaster kit to take with you if you need to leave your home and go to a shelter. Let's talk about the 72-hour kit. This is the kit that will help you get by in your home for 72 hours. We're going to use a lightweight plastic trash can on wheels to store our items. Whatever you use, make sure you can get to it easily and that you can move it around easily.
According to the experts, everyone should have these basic survival items on hand.
Enough blankets for everyone in the household, and since there's just you and I, honey, I figured these 4 should do it.
A water supply of 2 gallons a day per person.
A non-perishable food supply for 3 days, including the special things we need.
Better have a can opener or we'd be out of luck, wouldn't we? And something to eat with.
And a flashlight, and a battery-powered radio, and the batteries to go with them. We don't want to be in the dark any more than we have to. And in an emergency, a radio is invaluable.
And don't forget the pet food for Sadie. And an extra leash in here. We want to be sure to keep track of her.
After you've placed these items into your 72-hour kit, make sure you leave enough room on top for your portable kit. During a disaster, if you feel you're in a life-threatening situation, call 911. Remain as calm as possible and think about what's best. If you feel your life is in danger by remaining in your home, leave immediately. Do not wait for rescuers.
Disasters are really frightening, and it's important that you keep your head, that you use your head when you're deciding whether to evacuate or to stay in your well-prepared home. Don't isolate yourself. Listen to the radio. Watch the TV news. Know when there is the likelihood of a winter storm. Know when that rain may lead to a flood. Think about how much snow has been falling or how cold the temperatures are. If the fire danger is extreme, be alert to those issues as well. You don't have to be the only person who's paying attention. Prepare your home for a disaster. Make sure that you have a safe, well-planned evacuation route. Make sure that you have a buddy in your neighborhood and be a buddy to your neighbors.
The portable kit is for special items you must take with you if you evacuate your home during a disaster. Make sure they're necessary and that they fit easily into a satchel or backpack. For things that don't fit, or for things you use every day and don't have extras of, like a cane, a walker, credit cards, or a cell phone, make sure they're part of the list that you keep in your portable kit. That way, if you're under pressure, you won't have to rely on your memory. The portable kit should include personal hygiene items and a change of clothing, an extra set of keys for your house and car, cash and change for a payphone, and your insurance agent's name and phone number. The rest of the space is for your special needs, such as eyeglasses or incontinence supplies, a list of the style and serial numbers of your medical devices, such as pacemakers, and a copy of your health information card. And by the way, never let your medications get so low that you don't have a few days' worth on hand. You'll need them in case a disaster keeps you from getting them refilled. Of course, it's up to you to customize this plan with your own special needs in mind, but remember, keep it simple and easy to carry. One more thing about your portable kit. Make sure everything has an ID tag on it, and be sure to label equipment, wheelchairs, eyeglasses, canes or walkers, everything. If you're caring for someone who has a physical disability, or if you're physically disabled, think about your special needs. Write them down and give a copy of them to a buddy. If you use oxygen, have spare bottles on hand. If you need electricity for survival, get a generator or other backup power supply for your medical equipment. If you have medications that need to be kept cool, insulin for example, have a cooler on hand and load it up with ice at the first sign of need. If you use a motorized wheelchair, keep a manual one on hand that you could use if you had to. If you use a wheelchair and live above the first floor of a building, work out how you could leave your home with a buddy's help. If you have a cognitive or developmental disability, or if you're caring for someone who does, write down an emergency plan and practice it with them. Give copies of the plan to a buddy. Put it on the front of the refrigerator. Try to anticipate the types of reactions during and after a disaster, and plan strategies for coping. For example, think through what a rescuer might need to know and practice saying it.
Now, if there was an emergency and someone came to help you, what would you show them? That's right, you're going to make sure they look at the fridge and your health information card.
You know, I think maybe we ought to include some information about some of Jane's limitations or how to best communicate with him. Maybe some things like speak slowly and use fairly simple words. And sometimes he forgets things, so maybe we ought to put in there that we ought to have them write things down for him.
That's a good idea.
And remember, in case you go to a shelter, you should have a copy of the health information card with you.
This is Bridget, and she's a hearing dog in training with Dogs for the Deaf. Owners of assistance dogs should make sure that their dogs are licensed and that they have current ID tags in case of an emergency. It's always a good idea to have an animal care plan intact, although assistance dogs are allowed to accompany their owners into shelters. It's important that owners of assistance dogs have a plan in case of an emergency. Though the animal is allowed to accompany in public, in shelters, sometimes the dogs are going to be confused and panicked, and they're not going to be able to work for you the way that they've been trained to. So it's important that you have a plan to function without your animal. It's also very important that you have somebody that can take care of your animal, or a safe place to put your animal should you need to be separated from the dog during an emergency. For domestic pets that are not allowed to accompany you in public shelters, it's a good idea to have a plan ahead of time, a safe place, perhaps a kennel carrier that you can put the dog in that'll stay safe, that it can't escape. Possibly you have a friend or a relative in the area that can take care of the dog for you should you need to be separated from your animal.
Your personal network is people you could count on for help during a disaster. In other words, your family, friends, and neighbors. We all need a buddy. Make plans with a specific person who would be close by in a disaster. Exchange important keys and personal contact information. Arrange a meeting place for family members. And always be ready to identify yourself as a person who needs assistance in a disaster. And don't hesitate to say exactly what type of assistance you need. Often, in the event of a disaster, the best place for you, the safest place for you, is in your home. However, it's extremely important to think ahead, to think what you would do if you had to leave your home. You may or may not get advance notice that you have to leave. Plan and practice the best escape routes. On the other hand, if rescuers tell you to leave, do so immediately. Emergency services personnel never say this unless it's absolutely necessary. You must take it seriously. Responders put their lives in danger trying to help everyone get to safety. If you use mobility aids, a wheelchair for instance, or if you use prosthetics or life-sustaining equipment, remind rescuers to take your equipment and be prepared to explain how to transfer you. If you receive plenty of advance notice about the possibility of evacuation, back your car into the driveway and load your important items at that time. During a disaster, you'll want to get to the nearest shelter. Keep in mind that shelter locations are announced at the time of a disaster when safe locations and buildings can be identified. Go to the Red Cross shelter site identified by rescue workers or emergency broadcasts on the radio and arrange for someone to check on you. When you go, leave a message about where you've gone and who you went with. If you would need transportation to a shelter, try to plan it in advance with friends or family or your buddy. If you're bedbound or on a ventilator, the right transportation is crucial. Some fire departments or agencies keep a list of people who need special transportation. If you have home health care service, plan ahead with your caregiver for emergency procedures. Post emergency phone numbers near your phone. Having a plan in case of an emergency is much like wearing a seatbelt. If you want the seatbelt to work, you have to have it on when the accident happens. In a disaster, if you want your plan to work, you have to have it already in place. Involve your friends, family, and caregivers in your decision to be prepared. Ask your children or grandchildren to help you put your disaster kits together. Better yet, take what you've learned here and offer to help them put their kits together. Above all, get a buddy, be a buddy. To help you further, find out if your community has a special plan for family emergency preparedness. Get free handbooks from your local fire departments, police departments, and libraries. Check with the American Red Cross for special procedures or booklets. They're all free. Communities often hold workshops on how to best respond in a disaster. Arm yourself with as much information as possible. And guess what else?
Get a buddy, be a buddy.
Be prepared for whatever may come.